It's Edge Radio Australia. Time for Soulbirth. Look at the person I've got beside me. We're ready for a big show. Now, you can look at it. You can look all you like.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
you can. Well, I don't. Maybe I should back away from that statement. I'm certainly. I don't have permission to say that. I think I've just jumped the gun. No, well, hey, it is absolutely lovely to have you. Every week we have you here, Faye. We talk about all these wonderful soul-led things, which is very, very cool.
Yes, we do.
Obviously, soul birth. You know, we're surrounded by birth, which is kind of a fairly important thing, right?
It is, because we were all born, weren't we? We all
You know
started
what?
that way.
That's one thing we've all got in common, right?
We do.
Exactly.
We do.
You know, we all came from
Absolutely.
the same place, so to speak. So, what is today's subject? Because I'm curious on this.
Oh,
I've done a
yeah.
little cutting, I've done a little pasting, but I haven't done any reading.
Oh,
So,
there's no
what are we up to
clues.
today? No
Surprise
idea.
today.
No, I'll find out
This
soon
is-
enough.
You will, and it's really apt. About after speaking like that, after saying that,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about the art of being present.
Present. Okay, are you bringing gifts? That would be cool. I'd be all right
Well,
with
you know,
that.
that's how that saying came about being present,
Mm-hmm.
about being fully present, because every moment is a gift.
Is that how it came?
So, yeah, well,
Seriously?
well, I don't
Well,
know.
you're going to read with that. Okay, I
That's-
like
yeah,
that.
we'll go with
you
that.
go with that. I
Because-
do like that.
Because it is, you know, every moment is a gift if we are able to be fully present.
Yeah,
So
I
that's-
thoroughly agree. I thoroughly agree. I'm going to start by saying something very, very strange because, you know, that's what I like
so
to
what's
do.
new?
No. Well, actually, this is sort of something that I've been, I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm surrounded by really cool people like yourself who look at the world in that way, right? And you look at the world and the gifts that you get, right? And I was speaking to somebody else just the other day, and we were talking about being present, right?
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly the same sort of thing. And she was saying like even when she eats her food, she's present in every bite,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
And I thought, like, okay, it's a really simple thing that we can all do,
Yep.
right? We make ourselves something nice, delicious to eat, whatever, and then we're going to wolf it down. Well, no, don't do that. Just live every moment.
Be in the moment.
Yeah, it's a strange example, but I think it's kind
No,
of
but
a...
it's true, and I think we spoke about that in a previous episode.
think
We
we
were
did,
talking
yeah.
about mindfulness meditation.
That's
and-
right, yeah.
Because that's all about being in the moment
Yep.
and actually meditating, but not calling it meditation. It's about being present, really. And
Spot
if
on.
you live life by being very present, then we don't miss stuff. Because the thing is, we're all so busy, racing around this fast-paced life now.
Yep.
So we kind of miss a lot. Whereas if we allow ourselves to drop into the moment and be fully present, there is so much in that moment that,
There really
that
is.
you can pick up on.
And in today's world, okay, when we talk about being present, how often... Yes, I'll just grab this for a bit of a prop. How often are these things stopping us?
Oh, yes,
The
it's
mobile phone, right? Stopping us from being present.
Yep.
It is crazy, right?
Totally. It's such a distraction.
It
and
really
the
is.
scrolling, the forever scrolling
Oh,
and
man.
fast-paced things changing and notifications coming in.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, they distract you, so
And
turn it
I,
off.
so true. When you go to an event, for argument's sake, going to an event and you see people who are all recording all the way, right? You know, I love that. There's that famous scene. I mean, it's well famous the last few years of that old lady, and everybody's there and everybody's filming this event, and there's just an old lady just taking it in,
Yeah.
right? And there's no camera and no phone. I think, man, like that's so cool. I get. Look, it's great with a phone to record the moment. You know, you take a photo or you do a little video or whatever.
Yep,
but
yep.
when you're living the event through the phone,
That's right. Then, yeah, you don't get the same
You don't.
experience of it, do you?
No.
And that's quite a common thing these days. As soon as something happens, people are quick out with the phone and record it.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, you miss so much because when you just allow yourself to be there, fully present,
right.
like, you know, like with your child growing up,
Yeah.
like when they take those first milestones, you know, first steps or whatever, if you want to record it on the phone, which is great because you've got it forever, but if you just are with that child in that moment as they take their first steps and you're ready there to receive them.
maybe a better idea, set your whole house up with CCTV, right? So it's recording constantly. So when your kid does something cool, you
It's
got
already
it.
there. That's
You're
a
already
good
there,
idea,
right?
isn't it?
And you could actually enjoy the moment. A bit creepy, but well, you know, could be effective. I don't know.
I know,
It
but
could be
the-
a way to do it.
But it comes down to every moment in life, and you know when we can be fully present with ourselves, then we
Yep.
then we can tune in more and be connected with our soul.
Totally agree.
And so that we can lead a soul-led life, because we're being guided by our intuition, because we're actually staying still long enough to listen to our intuition.
Yeah, and okay, when we talk about so much media that we take in, you know, of course, Edge is fantastic, but you know, of course, without goes without saying. No, but as far as when we're watching television, okay, or listening to this, whatever, okay, we're taking a lot in, which is great if you are present in the moment with that. But a lot of it is and this is why they call it TV programming, right? You're taking in all of that programming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so you're taking in other people's opinions and that, and then sometimes in a quite a negative way. Whereas if you're present, you can actually, you can experience it for yourself. You can assess it yourself.
Yeah,
you know, and
absolutely.
it's coming from the depth of your soul rather than what you're being programmed.
That's one of the reasons I don't watch TV. I haven't watched it for years
very
because
smart.
it's very distracting and it's all negative,
Yeah,
programming,
pretty much.
which I don't need in my life. I've got so much else that I want to be doing and, being of service to people and, including to myself. I want to be able to tune into myself and be present with my family, with my dogs and with, what's going on in my life. So don't need those distractions.
All right, you got any tips for me on that one? Because, it is very easy for all of us to get distracted, right?
Yep,
Okay, are there any things that I can sort of reach to, practical sort of examples that can stop me from, I don't know, documenting my life on the phone or whatever, and more actually just living the moment?
Well, see, it comes back to that mindfulness because, if you catch yourself actually doing that, then stop yourself and go,
point.
actually, I'm trying to record something, when I should be mindful or I should be present at the moment. So it's more catching yourself. And with NLP or neuro-linguistic programming, when I learnt that, we were taught this simple little trick, which is really good if you wanted to break a habit,
Right,
which
what's
that
that?
would be,
Okay.
is wearing a lucky band around your wrist. And every time you catch yourself doing that thing, then you snap yourself with a lucky band.
A little self-torture. Nice, nice.
There are other ways to do it that are more gentle, but I thought that worked really well. I tried it and it got me out of habits really quickly.
I can see that working. I mean, just before we came on air, we were just talking about, what we've been doing and things like that. And I said, I had a really, really great night last night, right? I went to a mate's place. And we were working on his race car. He's a drifter, right? No, he's got a fixed address, but yes, he's a drifter. Boom, boom. Pun definitely intended. And, okay, you know what? We were there and we're greasy and we're having fun and we're talking absolute rubbish, right? We just talk, working on the car, having our opinions, what to change, what to do. Okay, so what I'm saying is I was completely living in those moments and there were hours and hours and hours involved, right? And I jokingly said, hang on, I haven't been on my phone for the last 5 hours.
Wow,
people will think I'm dead, right? Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. But how good was it? I left the phone in the car.
Yes.
We worked on the cars and we just, good old-fashioned bonding, right? I love the guy. So, that's always that helps.
Yeah.
We've known each other forever. And, just spending that time and there's your mindfulness. There's living in the moment.
That's the point, isn't it?
100%.
100%. So you've just lived it.
Yep.
And it's great that now you can actually recall that and see how valuable that was.
And I didn't need to record it on my phone.
No.
And I didn't need to share it with others. Well, I just did, I suppose. But then,
thank you for sharing.
I try.
But you're able to speak it, share it from a lived experience rather than a recorded experience.
Yeah, I'm not just like putting a video up there on the screen kind of thing, and which, you're disattached to. Well, and also, okay, from another level is, as I'm talking about, I'm kind of like recognising it, right? It re-energised me. Right, just good old fashioned human contact. I mean, I get a lot of that, but as far as from the point of view of the purity of that, I guess, in that particular
the
case.
interaction.
Yeah,
because as a human, that's what we crave is actually interaction. This is where we're going into this world, IT world with AI and everything, but AI can never replace the human element, the connection.
No way in the world.
Never will be able to, no matter how they develop it. I'm sure they'll come up with a way. I mean, they're already developing robots that are very human-like, but they're not humans. They can't interact. They don't have the emotions, the real emotions, the actual connection.
Stop talking about my ex-girlfriends. Okay, come on, right? No, but it is so true. But I mean, look, I joke about that, but the reality is, okay, we're exactly what you said. We all are looking for connection, right?
Yes.
And if the connection isn't genuine or, it's a bit of a waste of your time. Right?
Yeah. Well, you want to be heard, don't you? And this is where this comes from. A lot of people are feeling unheard. So many people. I think most people that I speak to have these things about not feeling heard or seen. But when we are fully present with one another, then you can be fully seen and heard.
Yeah,
because you're dropping into this space where you're 100% there for that person to listen fully and deeply. So you're hearing everything that's coming through.
Sure.
And you can actually sit with them and you don't need to be saying or interrupting. You just need to be present and listening. You know,
I think there's so much value in just listening to someone,
there is.
really. And it's a habit we kind of fall out of. Like something I noticed about myself years ago, which I'm very proud of the fact that I changed, is or someone only because I saw some sort of actually I think it was a podcast that brought my awareness to it that. You often are listening to someone, right? And while you're listening to them, you're preparing an answer.
Exactly, and that's not actually listening.
Spot on.
Yeah.
And I realised I did that. I was doing that. As people are talking, I'm preparing an answer.
Right.
Whereas, I'd rather, for one of a better way of saying it, I'd rather sort of blank that out, right? Okay, and just be there, present, listening to the person, taking their thoughts in, and absorb it.
Absolutely.
And even if at the end of the conversation I just sort of, go a little bit, sort of, I don't know, bit quiet while I process it, then you can come up with an answer.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because you don't have to have an answer for everything either. We can just sit and hold this sacred space for the other person and deeply listen to what they're saying, and then, they feel really heard. And sometimes when you do that, it allows them to actually process it themselves as they're speaking it, and they come up with their own solutions, because they're able to listen to themselves as they speak.
Beautifully put.
Connect.
Because ultimately, you're educating yourself right there, okay?
Yeah.
By verbalising, by talking
You
about
do.
it. Yeah. Now, great questions just come in. Jeez. Marrow, David here. I always screw up the pronunciation of your name. I'm so sorry, mate. I'm terrible with that. I need
Maro.
But you see, I want
Maro.
to roll my tongue. I want to sound Italian. It's this jealousy thing here. Now, we've got here from Maro. He's put, how do you feel loved?
He wants to know from both of us.
Oh,
wow.
Geez. So you first.
Good question, because and this is why I talk about this feeling heard, holding this sacred space to be heard, because that's how I would feel loved, is if somebody actually held that space for me, and so I felt really heard and seen, and that comes from being present.
Right.
And
Okay.
it's not there in so many relationships. So I know, Maro, in your work with the couples,
Yep.
I'm sure this is a topic that comes up a lot. And
It's a brilliant point.
it is. It's a really brilliant point, because in relationship, being fully present would solve so many relationship issues.
It would. I mean, so often you're distracted by, okay, you're growing up, you've got kids, you've got mortgages, you've got car payments, you've got stress, work, all that kind of carry on. When you're with your partner, you're not feeling present at all, right? You've got all of these other things going. And I can certainly say in my life, I've made mistakes on that one. I've been so focused sometimes, being terribly honest, so focused on the noise that you are not present for the person that you love.
Yeah. Whereas if you stop, if you go, okay, let's just stop, sit down, and have a real heart-to-heart connection.
Yep.
Like, okay, how are you today? How are you really feeling today? And what can I do to help? And hold that space for them. And is there anything that I can do, or can I just listen? And
Well, the term "hold that space" always, I don't know, kind of I don't know, I struggle with it a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
Because that's not your words, maybe.
Maybe that's what it is.
But as with all these things that we talk about, I bet you do that anyway, but in a different way, using different words.
Very likely. It's true. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I just like to be there and be there for someone and actually listen to them. And I suppose that's the same thing. It's just different terminology.
Exactly. And you've got to answer your half the question.
I know. I'm doing a very good job of avoiding answering that.
You are.
No, okay. I mean, look, that's an interesting one. Okay, how do I feel loved? I'll bring it back up on the screen so I can really read it again and answer it like as honestly as I possibly can. Let's have a look. How do you feel loved? Okay, I feel loved when people genuinely care about me. Genuinely, they show empathy and understanding when they... that's a really interesting one. And the honest truth is, and when I first read the question, I kind of thought to myself, I don't know, because because of my life and the path it's taken, I don't actually feel very loved. Okay, I don't. Right, so I struggle with that. I don't know, Maro. I'd have a lot of trouble answering that question. I think, yeah.
So back to what your answer was about how I'm feeling cared for. Mm-hmm. So how does that look for you? Would that be somebody actually listening to you and actually caring about what you have to say and how you feel?
It would be. That's spot on. Who actually listens. I've had a lot of people who will pretend to listen in my life, right? Okay. Who really actually don't care about the words coming out of my mouth.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about, being present.
Yeah.
Because they're not being present.
They're not being present.
They're not
But
actively listening.
and again, and I'm not laying blame on other people, because let's face it, I'm responsible for the people I choose in my life as well, right? But at the same time, I tend to choose people who are reasonably narcissistic. Who are self-absorbed, and therefore they don't actually care. They're running through the motions, right, of asking the questions. They actually don't care about the answer. So yeah, to feel loved, I would need to actually have someone who actually cared about the answer.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I've wrestled with this one too. Like, if you attract narcissist behaviour, then what is it that attracts that? It's because you're an empath, because you're listening and what have you. But attract that in for whatever lesson that brings you, and so ask. Like for me, it made me question myself and go inwards. And is there some part of me that's not being present with that?
Yeah.
And so what is it that I'm not getting, or how to have a different experience? And then maybe that comes down to deep listening too, but listening to your intuition about what is it about that personality that's triggering me, and then how can you turn that around so that you're not triggered?
I get that. I mean, in fact, I almost want to pull back the word I use, narcissistic. I think we use that term way too much right now. I think it's just too common. I think it just actually, I'd rather remove that and replace it with the word selfish, good old-fashioned selfish. And when you are an empath, when you are a person of service, right, which I didn't know I was until it took a lot of life before I realised that's actually what I was about. And when I realised that, you attract people because you attract people who they want something from you. They don't want you, they want something to fulfill their lives. It's all about them. It's a selfishness issue. So and I'm not saying that.
Here's a challenge.
Okay, oh dear.
Here's a challenge. So next time that happens and you're feeling that somebody's just being really selfish, try just sitting and being really present with them.
Yeah.
And actually really just listening, and like we were just talking about, not coming up with, or thinking in your mind, oh, well, they're so selfish, blah, blah, blah. Just be really present with them, hold that space.
Yeah, but I don't sit there and think, oh, you're so selfish. Guess what I do?
No,
I sit there and I actually try and solve their problems. Right?
So you're not being present, you're just,
I'm trying.
Because you're actually trying to solve their problem rather than just being present for them to express it.
Yeah, because as a man, and I'm totally generalising big time here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but as a man, we want to fix things, right? Okay, whereas in a case of a relationship with a woman, they want to share things, right? So they want to be heard.
Yes.
So it's just a hard thing for most men. Well, again, I'm speaking for most men, but we inherently, that's what we want to fix the problem.
I know. This is really exciting. I'm getting really excited internally as I'm
All right,
listening
there
to
you
you, because this is like a breakthrough, really. It is, because because it is true that a lot of guys are thinking in their mind, so they're very mentally focused when somebody's speaking and they're trying to come up with solutions to problems. Therein, if you were able to be present and allow the other person to speak through what's going on and to actually verbalise what the problem is, maybe they'll find the solution on their own.
But again, it's a DNA thing, right?
It is.
And this is, the old men are from Mars and women from Venus, or wherever the hell we're from, right? It's in our DNA that most men want to fix it. So when we hear, and particularly if we love that person, we want to take away that pain from them, or that problem from them, or whatever. So
and it's in our DNA as women to want to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can talk and talk and talk and overshare sometimes. And the guy's probably thinking,
oh, look,
how many hours have I got to sit here and hold space?
That's right. Yeah, and I mean, look, I can again point back at myself as far as oversharing. I'm a big old oversharer, right? So it's not. It's not set in stone, but it is very interesting. It is in my mind deep in the DNA.
Yeah, it is. It'd be great to get some comments actually.
Yeah,
if
I'm just about to bring this comment up. Marrow's absolutely. He's busy today.
Oh, what's your love language? Oh, I like this.
Look at that.
We should have had Maro on the show. We could have got you on to
He's
talk
a pretty
about
wise
this
fella.
too. Yeah, he
I'll
is.
jump in the
This
car,
would be
mate. Head on
perfect.
in. Why not?
Yeah.
All right, mate. Well, okay. Again, I'll divert to you. What's your love
Oh no, I think we should go the other way this time. I know what mine
okay,
is.
my love language is absolutely is acts of service.
Yeah,
100%, right? Yeah, and these are things that, I wish I knew 20, 30 years ago. 30 years ago, be pretty good. But yeah, that's how I like to do it. And, little gifts and all that kind of thing. But, Yeah, and touch is a big one as well. So, but that fundamentally is where I'd lie.
Yeah. And I'm much the same, really. Acts of service and touch, words too. I'm not really into gifts at all. But, I mean, I think they're all amazing. I know we have one or two main ones that we resonate with, but
our go-tos.
yeah, exactly. But they're all important. But I think the important thing too is, especially in relationship, is learning the other person's love language as well. So that you're not projecting yours onto them, but you're trying to fulfil their needs as well, because that's when you really.
This is why, okay, people should come with a little dossier, right?
Yes.
A brochure. We'll go with a brochure. Brochure's fine, right? And it says, these are my love languages, this is my this, Now, we live in a world right now where, this is, work with me here because it's about being present. People are always talking about their icks and their red flags and all that kind of carry on.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big thing in people's relationships, right? So, they've always come in with a shopping list, right, of how does that work with, like, we want to be transparent about, what we're about, but that's almost starting in a negative way, saying, these are things I don't like. Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if we could
flip it around the other
way?
Yeah.
These are the things that make me happy. This is my love language. These are the,
It'd be great. So next time there's one of those, what is it, dating things?
Oh, speed dating?
Well, yeah. Maybe that should be something they put at tables where they say, okay, what things do you like?
Yeah.
Or what is your love language or whatever? Anyway.
I don't think a lot of people would know, though. I mean, the term love language, I certainly didn't know at all until, I don't know, I reckon I was well into my 40s.
Yeah,
right?
really. Okay.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be nice to actually bring that out and be, common knowledge about, what's your love language, even as kids?
Yeah.
I mean, parents out there that are listening, wouldn't it be great to instill that into your children as they're growing up, so that, you sit around the dinner table and you have a conversation about love language, what do you need from us today? And, is your love language is hugs? Make sure you hug your child, if that's their love language. Make sure they get lots of hugs, minimum 10 hugs a day, don't limit it. But if that's their love language, fuel them with that.
I hate to make this like a Aaron, counselling session, right? But I'll
lay
just,
down on the couch. I'll just move over to the other couch.
That's right. Okay, that one's longer. It's more comfortable. I'll be comfy.
There you go. Try and test it.
Try and test it. Absolutely. No, but that's a really interesting thing to say. Okay, because I as a person, I need hugs to function, right? So without a particular amount of hugs in my life, you feel like there's a deficit. Okay?
Exactly. That's why you have dogs.
You have dogs? Okay.
So I've got 2 dogs. I need more to hug.
There you go. There's your unconditional love right there.
Exactly.
But it's a great point. Actually, you know what? The fact of having a dog or a pet is a great example of that.
It is.
It's a great way of experiencing that sort of love.
Yeah.
But these are all things, when we're talking about the subject at hand, right, about being present. When you're with your dog or your cat, you don't, when your dog comes by us and I don't have a dog at the moment, but when you pat your dog, right, it's like, it's something I do, right?
Yeah,
you actually do, immerse yourself in it. Like
you do. So you're fully present for your dog,
Spot
aren't
on.
you? And because they don't let you be any other way.
No other option on that.
No, because they hound you until you actually pay attention to them.
But your husband, your wife, sometimes your kids, you're not present, right? You just, you're answering and away you go.
Exactly.
Ooh, look at that.
It's a thought, isn't it? Wow.
I'll tell you. Another question. Look, he's on fire. Look at this.
Oh, another one.
Now, let's open her up and have a look. Now, there we go. The book from Gary Chapman was written in 1992.
Oh, which book's
now,
this?
I don't know that book,
is this about the love languages?
Is it?
I don't know. Is that the book you're referring to, Mara? I'm assuming it must be after the last question.
I would assume too. Yeah,
1992. So wow, that's a long time ago.
Well, 1992, I wasn't thinking about love language. I was thinking about other kinds of love. I was running around getting as much love as possible. So, that'd be interesting. What's the name of that book, mate? If you actually know that one, that'd be great. If you could
that would be
bring
great,
that up on the screen. So I'm going to assume that, exactly that's about love language.
Yeah. But speaking of that with children too, like being fully present is something that I'd really encourage parents to do with their children. I know it's hard sometimes, especially once you've got 2, 3 or 4 kids, because, you get distracted by all the kids running everywhere. But imagine how much your relationship with your child would change if you could be fully present with each and every one of them, when they're asking you for something, instead of going later, it's like too busy. If you could actually sit, and I know so many parents that do this, and it makes such a difference to how the child feels seen and heard and how they behave. So if their behaviour is really bad, think about, well, why is their behaviour bad? Am I being present for them? Because quite often you'll think about it. If you
They just
actually
want
slow
attention.
down, they do. It's attention seeking. So if you sit and be with them fully present, then you will actually connect with them and they can tell you what they want.
So true. I remember, it used to be a bit of a running joke, okay, when I pick up my kids from school, right? And we drive away and you'd hear from the back seat, front seat, from the whole car, because hello kids, is Dad, 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 Dad,
want
Dad,
you
Dad.
at once.
Yeah, oh, yeah, and it became
It's
like
overwhelming. It's like, oh my
yeah.
God, one at a time.
It's kind of like the seagulls, go. And I used to love that. And we'd turn it into something and we'd go, and I'd just go, Anton, go!
Oh,
Boom.
yeah,
And,
that's good. So he gets his little bit
he
of
gets his
time
bit, and
which
everyone
is
gets their
great.
time.
Yeah.
And as far as other things too, like many, many years ago with my eldest son, we used to go out and just go and play cricket, right, in the nets, right, or whatever, or go grab a footy and that sort of thing.
Yep.
Okay, no phone, no other carry on.
Yeah.
You just go and spend that time, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And man, why have we lost that?
I know.
Like, that's something we have to bring back.
Yeah, I know. I look back to the days, because I'm getting old now, but
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
I saw a Facebook post, something, I think it was about the 1970s.
Right.
70s, yeah. And it was a picture of everybody at the beach. And I remember those days because I was a teenager, in the 70s. And, being down at Scarborough Beach there and everybody, because there was no phones, you had your little transistor radio that you listened to, but everybody talked to everybody on the beach, It was a really great social place to be.
So true. When you walk past people now, right? Like, I'm as an Aussie, right? I'll smile and I'll say g'day or whatever as I go past, right? So I'm told it's quite a Aussie thing.
Yeah.
And in other countries, people don't tend to do it as much.
Yeah.
But we just don't do that anymore. We're not engaging with people, and just in everyday life, like you're down at the beach or you're walking down the street.
Yeah.
Again, it's human engagement, and it's actually living the moment.
Yeah.
Great comment there too. Yes, the Love Language book was published in 1992, and the Love Language changed from child stage to teen to adult life. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up,
does,
mate.
actually,
okay.
Yeah. But an interesting read. So thanks so much for your input there, Mara.
Appreciate that. Look, it's handy to have a bookworm there.
I know.
To keep us up to date with these things.
Yeah. But it's a really important book too. Like, I think, especially when we're talking about this, being present and, actually meeting the other person where they're at and everything.
Yeah, it's so true. It's such a fundamentally basic thing we could be doing in our everyday lives, and why don't we, right? What's going on here? I mean, okay, we can all sit here and blame electronics, and my God, it's tempting. Right? I mean, like, this little box here is continually, okay, it's working on algorithms, it's feeding me with all the things that, it thinks that I want to talk about, think about. But ultimately, it's breaking down that, that human connection, which is the most vital part of the whole process.
I know, especially when you see a group of people sitting around a table together and they're all on their phone rather than talking to one another.
Yeah, I think this is really important. And if you're sitting down having dinner with somebody, whether it could be your spouse, it could be a friend, it could be a date, whatever, is the phone at absolute minimum should be face down, right?
Yeah.
Okay, as an absolute minimum, it would be best to be off, best to be sort of
not on the table, not even at the table. Have a rule that, especially I know a lot of families, which is great. I mean, I didn't have phones around when my kids were
That's
at home.
handy. Very lucky.
It was great, but having a rule at dinner time, no phones allowed at the table. Confiscate them, because then you can have real conversation and be present with each other as well.
Well, screw up your kids. What you do is you turn the Wi-Fi off while you're having dinner, and then they're on their own then. But no, that's a really good point. And again, that's something that I, again, from my life is like, okay, the things you want to change from your childhood to growing up. So, and this is not a go at my parents at all, but my parents used to work a lot, right? Like crazy hours and whatnot. So the dinner table situation just didn't happen, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when I grew up and had my own kids and my own, life and wife, we sit at the dinner table, right? That's that time, and you eat and you communicate with each other. I think it's really important. It's such a simple thing.
Yeah, and because that was a rule in our house when I was growing up, and I'm glad that we had it. But we, that was the time that we did sit down and we all talked, and we all took turns. We went around the table and everybody got to share, what their day was like, what happened for you today, and everybody listened. We were all present for one another.
You all listened? Really?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
Because we had girls. We only had girls in our family.
So there's a lot to talk about. Okay.
And no boys saying,
exactly.
rubbish. Yeah. Because when I had kids, I had 4 kids and there were 2 boys and 2 girls. And it was kind of
it's different, isn't it?
Battle. Yeah, it's very different because girls tend to be more quiet and listen to the others. Well, that's a generalisation too.
Sure.
So no, it's not always, but
Yep.
yeah, having two of each, it was quite interesting because the dynamics around the table were quite different, and trying to
Two
get
tribes.
one person to just have their talk
Yep.
without being interrupted was a lot more difficult.
Bit of United Nations going on there.
Yeah,
A little bit of
exactly.
politics and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we've talked about some, like, in my opinion, some really good stuff as far as, like, ways of doing this. The dinner table, you know, the taking away the mobile phone, lots of things. Even the drive in the car. The drive in the car, right? The drive in the car
exactly.
has become this thing where, you know, we feel that everyone needs to be entertained. Well, you know what? We used to do this thing of,
Play games.
yeah, well, even this, turn your head and look out the window, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, take in the world rather than have to. I was with some friends the other day who are buying a new car. Okay, and it's a new second-hand car, new to them. Anyway, and it had it was a lovely car. Very, very nice, except for it had one fault, and it had the back of the headrest has got the TV screens in it,
yeah.
okay,
Oh,
and that was playing up.
Oh no.
It was a $4,000 repair, right, to make these TV screens.
Right.
And I said to them, like,
Just turn it off.
well, I said, to be honest with you, okay, you've got two dogs, right? Does it really matter if the TV screens don't work? Like, everything else is lovely, everything is luxury and comfy and fantastic. Like, you know, you're not having kids.
So there's no kids in the back.
No
of
kids in the back.
themselves.
So, like, what does it matter? But we feel this, like, compulsion to go, oh, we must make sure the kids are entertained.
Oh,
and
gosh. I've never had a car with TV screens in the back of it. I would never want them. But yeah, whenever I've been on long road trips, you go to all the old-fashioned games of playing, you know, first one to spot a red car, you know, or the number plate, you know, or first one to spot a kangaroo.
So I think, that didn't take long. Back in my rallying days, we used to have one, where we'd spot cows up to particular things, right? When the cows were doing particular actions, we'll just put it that way. And you play spotto on that, right? And it just brings so much laughter and so much fun to a car.
Yeah.
And I think actually what we're talking about here is, to be frank, the best way to become more present is to go back in time. To take away,
Exactly.
to take away all these cheat sheets that we've got, all of these things of all of these, you know, electronic media and all kind of carry on.
Yeah, so introduce some of the great gems from the past back into today's world, like the reconnection parts, and to be present with one another, to actually have a conversation without a phone around or the TV turned on.
Yeah.
Because it's the other thing, most people have their TV turned on 24/7, and
So true.
you know, it's always background noise and, you know, all this distraction, and it's like, oh, I hate the TV.
You hate the TV?
I hate it.
But I'm like
I have
you.
a picture in front of my TV.
Do you
but
really?
I never watch it, so
Okay.
it's only Netflix once every couple of months or something if I'm
There
lucky.
you go.
But that's it. So I have a picture. It's a nice background for a picture.
Nice. That's good. That's just okay. You've got you should have the flames going so you look like you've got a fire in your house.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's a nice
I hadn't
one.
thought
Just
about that one.
have that on the screensaver and away you go.
Little painting of flames.
Oh, I don't have a TV aerial. I have a TV, and I have
don't either.
it goes to the goes to the internet, and that's it. So I can watch whatever I need from that point of view. But yeah, look, I have no interest in the TV aerial because I don't want all the programming in my house. I don't want to be told how to think and all of the negativity that comes with it. I mean, it's negative enough with your good old fashioned YouTube and bits and bobs. But why not take that element away and
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And you want to know one of the other big gifts in being present?
What's that?
Is that we get to learn gratitude. When we're in the
Okay,
moment.
please explain. How does that work?
Well, because just think about it. Like if you're sitting out if you go for a walk along the river and you just take a seat and you're just sitting there in nature.
Yeah.
You know, imagine if you then pull out your phone and you start scrolling and you're on your phone. You miss what's around you. It's like,
So
oh my God.
true.
Whereas if you're just present with this beautiful bit of nature that you're sitting in, immersed in,
Yep.
how beautiful is that? And you get to experience this full-on gratitude about, Mother Earth and like our environment. Like we are actually so lucky, especially for those viewers who live in Australia. And, we are very lucky here. We have this beautiful environment. We have fresh air. We have blue skies. We don't have a lot of the stuff that is elsewhere.
Sure.
So being out in nature and being in nature anywhere is just so beautiful, and it charges your soul.
That's so true.
Connects you back to your soul and all that you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can spend those moments in nature and really practice gratitude for everything that's around us, rather than being upset about all the things that are going wrong in the world,
Yep.
we can actually be present and actually go, well, actually, my world is so beautiful and I've got so much to be grateful for.
It's so true. It's so true. I was just thinking about something as well, like exactly what you were saying as far as like walking in nature and stuff. And of course, Malloy's been brilliant and put his comments up here. And of course, he's our resident expert when it comes to relationships.
Yep.
And just to mold the two together there, okay, honestly, like the simplicity of walking along, okay, holding the hand of the person you love, right? Now that's just a moment of real presence, right? And I think to myself, like when I was younger, I wouldn't do that, right? Like when I probably until I was in my late 30s, I always hated holding the hand.
Really?
Oh
wow,
man.
why is that?
I don't know. I just turned into a 13-year-old boy, and I felt embarrassed by it.
Really?
Yeah. And then I kind of got to my 30s and thought, I've got this babe, right? Okay, I should be showing off to the world the fact that this absolutely gorgeous girl is mine, and therefore I started holding hands, and it created a level of gratitude and so forth that I didn't have. But again, it's living in the moment. You're taking in the nature, you're taking in the relationship. There's so much positivity there, right?
Yes.
In such a simple thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was me losing, obviously, in my case, I think it was obviously a hang up from childhood or whatever. Okay. Don't know where I got it, but I got it.
Yeah, who knows? All these different things come from deep down,
Yeah.
don't they? You don't know where they come from, but it's interesting to reflect on those.
Yeah, when you
Again,
look
by
back.
being present, if you're present with what your feelings are coming up and why you have a trigger around something, then you can
Yeah.
actually resolve it.
It's true. And you move forward and you grow as a human being. Because, well, no one knows the meaning of life. We all give it a crack, but we don't know. But I think that one of the big meaning of your life should be growth, right? Okay, it should be discovery.
Yeah.
And you're not going to grow and you're not going to discover unless you're looking at other people's opinions. If you're not taking them in, you're not listening, you're not being present to it. If you just you close your mind, well, you know what? You're holding yourself back for the rest of your life.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
I totally agree that, the meaning of life from my
Yep.
perspective and
Yeah.
Soulbirth, we're on this soul journey and we are here to grow and expand.
So true.
And to learn, things that will help us to expand. And, to expand our unconditional love,
Yep.
both for ourselves and for everybody else, because, that's the nature of the universe is love. So,
So
if
true.
we're feeling anything that's not love, then where's that coming from? And again, it's being present that you can actually unravel that. Why am I not feeling unconditional love here in this moment?
Well, I think so often we're so busy with life that we're not being real about it. Okay, we're not really truly experiencing life, right? Okay, we're busy in this and that, all the noise that's going on. And what happens is those things that you wish you were present for, that you haven't been, and it builds up animosity and negativity and all that kind of carry on and
Absolutely.
resentment.
It does.
Yeah.
Whereas if you sit with that,
Yep.
be present with yourself and your thoughts and your feelings and wonder why are you feeling that way, and then most of those issues just tend to melt away.
Melt away.
Melt
Now,
away.
speaking of melting away, you have a piece of paper there with all sorts of things on that. I'm sure the way you and I have conversations, I'm sure we've covered none of them. I reckon we've actually gone off on so many tangents that we've actually...
Oh, no. Look, I find that most of the time we've covered it all anyway.
Oh,
but
there you
they're
go.
just points just in case, we ever, get stuck. But we never get stuck.
We don't.
There's always more anyway. There's always more you could talk about these subjects.
Of course,
because,
I just want to make sure this, me running off my little rants, that, if there's anything that you specifically wanted to talk about.
Well, I think being present actually gives you a lot more clarity about life,
That's a great point.
What's actually playing out for you in this life, because, our life happens for us, not
Yep.
to us, as we've discussed
We
before
have,
as well.
we certainly have.
And so being present with it actually helps us to actually make head or tail of it, why,
Okay.
what is this moment giving me at this
Yeah.
present time,
Oh, what is this moment giving me? Write that down. That is good stuff. But it's true. Right? How is that moment serving you? How is that friendship serving you?
Yes.
That relationship serving?
Exactly. And how can I be a better person in this moment? Am I being the best version of myself? Am I reacting to something or am I responding? Because there's a big difference between reacting and responding. And if we actually contemplate that from that place,
Yep.
then, we can actually turn that around and get rid of any negative angst. that we
And
might have.
think of the negativity and sometimes the bad choices you bring into your life because you have reacted rather than responded.
Exactly.
Right? And we all do it. Okay, you know, we like to think we're better than that. We do. Sometimes, you know, you might yappy
But a lot
about
of that
something.
comes because reaction is in the moment. You just fire off
Yep.
without stopping, which is part of being present. Is actually to
So
stop, take a big breath in, even 2 or 3 breaths if you need to be fully present with the situation and to open up to, you know, what is this moment teaching me, or how can I respond in a positive way to this moment. And you get pushed with that a lot with kids, you know, especially young kids that are actually throwing tantrums or whatever. Gives you the opportunity, see that moment as a gift. If you can, to slow down and to be present with it and go, what is this moment teaching me?
Well, apart from that, also when your kids grow up or they're not in your life anymore, or all of that sort of thing, right? As silly as it sounds, like, okay, you almost appreciate those tantrums.
Yeah.
Because it was, you know, it was an experience that you had. It shaped you. It
Yes.
changed you. It was an
Exactly.
experience you shared with your child.
Yeah. So the gratitude comes into it then, doesn't
Look
it?
at you
Yes.
go.
Yeah,
Tell you what.
and I've got a little thing that I wanted to share with people, a little quote that might help you to drop
Well-
into this place.
Well, if I could get you to do this before we finish on the
Get me
quotes,
to do
right?
something, yes.
Yeah, a couple of things here. First and foremost, if you've enjoyed or you've gotten something from today's show, if you could do this, you know, wonderful little YouTube thing for us. If you can like, subscribe, all of that, I really, really appreciate it. YouTube is something that we need to actually build here at Edge. We're on so many different platforms, which is fantastic, but due to algorithms and stuff like that, we're going to play the game, right? So if you've enjoyed it, if you've got something, please do like, subscribe, tell your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell your friends, right? Simple as that. Keep that negativity to
Won't be a
yourself.
problem. No,
Yeah,
be
that's
present and
easy.
wonder why.
Be present. Boom, boom. And the other thing is, now, you do wonderful work when it comes to, bringing your life into the world as far as, well, just being a wonderful guide for it. If people have babies or planning to have babies, or anything lined up with Soulbirth, how can they find you?
Well, they can definitely find me through my website, which is soulbirth.com.au, or contact me on my email at faye@soulbirth.com.au.
Or you can hit the link on the edgeradioaustralia.com website. Your face comes up, clicky, clicky, away you go. You can go straight to you. So away we are. All right, with that, we'll finish the show. It's Edge Radio Australia, Soulbirth. We're going to finish on this wonderful quote, if I may.
Leave you with this quote in closing. The art of being present is the art of truly living. It's where peace replaces worry, gratitude blossoms, and the magic of life unfolds one breath at a time.
How about that? Edge Radio Australia, Soulbirth.